The algorithms are changing, and here's what you need to know. Welcome to Social Media Catch Up. As a social media manager, I need to stay on top of what is going on platforms, what is going on content-wise, everything regarding social media. And since I've been working in the space for about 2-3 years now, I've been predominantly in beauty, both luxury and mass market. I was thinking, why gatekeep all the stuff that I find out about? Why not share with people? So today I will be covering everything that I found that is currently going on TikTok, TikTok Shop, and Instagram that as a business would be important for you to know. Let's start off with TikTok and TikTok Shop specifically. So we have some big news regarding TikTok Shop, which is that it has expanded. Up until now, it's been in China, US, UK, Ireland, and Spain. And now, as of 31st of March, it has expanded further in Europe. So now it is also in Germany, France, and Italy. And TikTok is actively working on getting more retailers to come onto their platform, sell on TikTok Shop, and expand further. If you are not fully aware of what TikTok Shop is, basically, TikTok Shop is like Amazon, where all the different retailers can use the platform as their own to sell their products. However, a big difference and a beneficial difference, I think, between Amazon and TikTok is that you can have creators create content and link straight in the app, so they don't have to leave the app, because as we all know, TikTok doesn't really like you to leave the app. They want you to stay in app. So that means that if you're selling on TikTok Shop and if you have a creator that's talking about your products, they can link to the product straight in the app and your customer never even has to leave the app. And the creators that work for you in that manner are called affiliates. And then another important part when it comes to TikTok Shop and TikTok in general, so in the past few years, especially here in the UK, I know in Germany as well, I'm not so sure about other countries, but I would assume as well, TikTok has been pushing TikTok Live a lot more, which they have also connected with their shop. So you can do live selling. They have been pushing it really hard. And I mean, I think up until today, it's still the biggest live, unless there was another one that I didn't hear about. The biggest live was made by Mitchell's, where I think it was a 12-hour live or maybe a bit longer. They sold £1 million worth of products, which is insane. That is a huge amount to sell in such a short period of time. So I think that illustrates how much TikTok is pushing TikTok Live and pushing TikTok Shop and then pushing them together because they are working with brands to achieve all that. And then going back to the new TikTok shop markets, which are the France, Germany, and Italy, I think you can see how impactful it will be because right now already some big supermarkets or, for example, a fashion retailer About You is already also on the platform. And I think those collaborations show you how big this can be. So what that would mean for your business is if you're looking to start a TikTok shop, now would be a great time to jump in, especially in the new markets while it's still early. However, I don't like the anxiety-ridden talk of like jump on all the trends and stuff like that. So if it's not the right time, obviously develop what you need to develop to be able to go into the new markets. And especially like it's TikTok shop here is still, I wouldn't say it's in its infancy anymore necessarily, but it's still quite early days. So you do have time to jump on it. And TikTok is definitely willing to help out brands to succeed on the platform. So, think about it. If it's a right business move for you, now would be a good time to consider jumping on TikTok shop in already established markets and the new markets as well. To move on to our next topic, which is also TikTok shop adjacent, it is considering affiliates. So I've seen on LinkedIn, one of TikTok's partners, an agency, was saying how they had a meeting with TikTok and just shared some insights about what was TikTok saying, what is going on with affiliates right now. So it looks like there are some changes to affiliates as well, in the sense of up until now, I feel like it was a lot about getting as many affiliates as you can to sell your products, and then because you had such a wide network of people selling your products, you would reach a lot more people. I think that was like the strategy behind it. But what they said happened in the meeting is more turning to quality versus quantity. But I mean, it's natural to go in that direction over time, I think. So it is no longer about the more affiliates, the more sales, but more so few good affiliates that bring in a lot of revenue, but they're the ones predominantly posting about you. You build relationships with them. Because I can tell you because I worked at a brand that was on TikTok shop, and affiliates are a very lucrative side of TikTok. We had this one creator that was bringing in significantly more revenue than other creators. And because of that, we were building a relationship with her, and you could tell like she genuinely used the products, she loved them, she spoke about them often, and that worked because people knew that she liked the products that she was talking about. It wasn't just the next cash grab, like she genuinely liked the products, and that showed in the conversions and the revenue we got from it. And that, if you think about it, it makes sense. Like if you have a creator that is just creating content as much as they can, meaning that it's probably not the highest quality content, and then it is new brands every week, like they don't really repeat brands that much, or maybe they do, but it's just like it's such a high volume of brands that they're talking about that objectively thinking about it, there's not that much of a likelihood that they would be using all those brands. So in that sense, I think it's only natural that it's now moving towards a few high quality creators that you're working with versus just working with any creator that requests a product from you. So to summarize that and what that means for you as a business if you're working with affiliates is work with fewer creators that create high quality content, work with creators that actually use your products and that it genuinely like it seems to fit into their lifestyle or content niche, or it needs, not that it needs to look believable, it needs to be believable. Like they genuinely need to be liking your products because that's going to come across and that's how they're going to be able to actually create high quality content. But don't just stay at that. Go through your creators, figure out which ones are high converters, which ones like are actually high quality creators as well, and start building relationships with them. So identify creators and then build relationships with them. Bring them in also more like sort of like a part of the team. Like if there's a new launch coming up, you could let them know that there's a new launch coming up. Give them news, give them updates. Treat them almost as an extension of your team instead of just a creator that there's like a mutually beneficial relationship. Like treat them as if they're a part of your team or as an extension of your team. Okay, now moving on from TikTok Shop and going just back straight to TikTok. This is just a short one, but I've been seeing people saying how their videos can go under reviews for quite a bit. So I haven't experienced that. My videos, when they go under review, it's only a few minutes and then they get posted. But then again, I don't really post anything that can be too, I don't know, that could flag the algorithm for any reason. But then what I've seen also people say is they're assuming it's because of the changes in community guidelines. And I do remember on the 1st of April getting a notification that I need to agree to the new community guidelines. So my assumption is just because of that. On this topic, I have also seen people saying that it's because of SEO and you need to search engine optimize your content and stuff. But to be fair, I feel like that's always the advice. So as much as I do agree with the advice that yes, the content should be SEO'd, I don't think that's that beneficial in this case specifically. I mean, unfortunately, yes, some creators had their videos be under review for like multiple hours, which is insane. But I think honestly I was just bringing this up so if anybody else is experiencing it, they know that it's not just them, like there are multiple people experiencing it. So this was just a quick one and we can move on to the next one, which is the views are apparently now more volatile, meaning that there are assumptions that the algorithm is changing from more follower based, which we'll talk about in the Instagram part as well, because that is a big one. Basically, the assumption is that it's no longer necessarily if you have a lot of followers, that means that you will get like automatically get views and interactions, stuff like be shown to your followers. But it's now more based on each individual piece of content being decided on individually, going back to the quality of the video. So that means that your videos need to be high quality, so each piece of content can be pushed to more people and basically get seen by more people. So my thoughts on that, or I guess my first thought regarding that was, okay, that's fun, because that no longer means that you need to be pumping out 3 to 5 videos a day, because unless you have a team of people, the likelihood of you being able to pump out 3 to 5 pieces of content a day is not that high. But then on the other hand, TikTok is about having a lot of content and they do like it when you push out more content. So that is why I'm more reluctant to say, oh, 3 to 5 videos a day are no longer important. I don't think that's true. I think the algorithm might be like gradually going towards that way, that they want more high quality content versus just big quantity of content. But I think, at least in my opinion, and if it is going in that direction, it's going in a good direction, because I prefer it that way. I don't like, time-wise, resources-wise, it is not that easy for businesses to be pushing out that much content at a time, but also quality wise, you just can't ensure that every piece of content you put out, if it's 3 to 5 videos a day, is going to be the highest quality you can create it. And not every piece of content needs to be high production. If anything, it shouldn't be on TikTok. It's just that I think if you have more time to spend on it, the content turns out better. With all that being said, I think it also all very much depends on what as a business you're able to put out. My thinking is always, yes, most roles that I worked in, I needed to put out at least one piece of content per day, but also that is my full-time job. In my opinion, if you don't have a team or just even one person that's specifically looking after your social media, define what is a feasible amount of content that you know you can put out in a week and stick to that, because I think consistency and showing up on the platform over and over again is much more important than creating 3 pieces of content a day for like 3 weeks, and then after 3 weeks you no longer have the time, ideas, or whatever it is. Like, it's just not something sustainable you can keep up with. So just define what as much as you can is for you and your business, and then put out that much content. Because if it's 2 times a week, but it is 2 times a week for a whole year, because you know that it's a sustainable thing you can do, that's almost twice as much content than if you do it 3 times a day for 3 weeks. And also the point is that it's across a bigger timeline than just 3 weeks, because yes, your content can be picked up down the line, but you can rely on that. Like, you need to keep showing up on people's feeds. So you need to keep posting content to be showing up on their feeds. And if you post for 3 weeks and then nothing, you're not going to be showing up on people's feeds. So my suggestion is just like define what is as much as you can for you. And just an additional note as well, if we're going with the fact that now every piece of video is being valued on its own and not because of the size of your following, I think that also gives you opportunity to maybe try out different things. So like, treat some videos that you know perform well as like you'll still put them out because people like them, people are going to keep liking them, but also try out with some new types of contents or topics or something to see if you can reach new audiences that your content that is already performing doesn't reach. And I'm not saying that's anything revolutionary, I just, in this context, that felt important to bring up. Okay, now I get to move on to Instagram. I feel like on Instagram there are quite a few new updates that we can go over, and most of these are coming straight from Instagram themselves, or I guess head of Instagram, Adam. I would definitely suggest following him because he basically gives you a blueprint of how to do well on Instagram. And also, I think following him made me appreciate some of the changes they make to the platform a lot more, because I can hear the thinking behind it, versus sometimes when there are updates I can get frustrated and be like, but this makes no sense. But then hearing them from him makes a lot more sense. They might not result in something that I like, but anyways, getting off topic, let's go back to how we have new ranking systems. So I'll just cover the feed and the Reels tabs because I feel like those are the most important ones. Stories, obviously everybody knows that those are much more shown just to your followers. Like, they don't really do that much to grow your account. Let's talk feeds first. So this sounds like quite similar to what is happening on TikTok. However, on TikTok, I don't have any confirmed sources. And then here, this is coming from Instagram themselves, that they have changed the way feeds and everything is being ranked. So it used to be follower based. The more followers you had, the more people you would reach, the more engagement you would get. Now it is much more user focused, so what they think users would want to see, and it doesn't matter, the following is not as important as it used to be. And I think regardless if you're a business or a creator or anybody for that matter, I think this is really exciting because it gives an opportunity to new brands or smaller brands and smaller creators to just like continue growing, which I think we were all aware for a while was very, very hard on Instagram. So I think this is really positive and something to look forward to. So feed ranking explained. Basically, the way the ranking on your feed comes out to is a mix of your friends, family, and new suggested accounts. As we know, like when you're on your feed, you want it to be people you actually follow, people you actually interact with, people that you know, but they also sprinkle in some content from accounts that you don't follow, so you can explore and find new accounts or businesses or creators, and they just basically make inferences of what they think the person would like to see on their feed. And then how do they decide on that? Well, first of all, obviously the content the person has liked before, commented on, shared, that's gonna give them an idea what they like and want to see on their feed. Also, the information about the post specifically. So how popular is the post? How much was it engaged with, shared, liked, commented on? More mundane parts of the post as well. Like, does it have audio? Does it have location tags? Stuff like that. So basically just all the information about the post as well. Then following is the information about the account or person that posted it. Have you interacted before? What could be the relation to the account? Can they assume that it is your friend or family, or is it a new account to you? How interesting could that account be to the person? Have they interacted in the past? How many times have they interacted? And then the last one, which I kind of mentioned in this one as well, I guess I kind of mix them up, is the history of the person interacting with an account. So have you seen their posts? If yes, have you liked them? Have you commented on them? So has the person seen the post from that account? Have they liked it? Have they interacted with it? Have they shared, commented? So what are the learnings? So specifically, if we're talking about in-feed content, I think the learnings we can take away from this is make content that has already worked well for you, because that means that you have a higher likelihood of getting suggested to the people that don't yet follow you but have in the past interacted with you, or match you with new accounts that have liked similar content, and then that can result in bigger reach, you getting more followers, stuff like that. Also, an important thing is to get engagement on your post as soon as you can after you post it. I again hate that like talk of like you have to do this and this. I think it can create anxiety, but it is important. And also, don't just post and then don't respond to comments and stuff. I think because Instagram really wants it to be a platform where you interact with people, and it's a social platform. Post when you know that you'll be able to interact with any comments that come in, likes, shares, questions, whatever it is. Interact with people after you post. That is a very big imperative. And then now let's move on to how they're ranking their Reels feed. Okay, so Reels ranking, similar, but not completely the same. So for Reels, a much more important metric is how likely is a person to share it, how likely a person is to watch it all the way through. So watch time plays quite an important role, especially in the exploring phase of watching Reels. Also, how likely the person is to like if they open the audio, because then they're more likely to create a Reel as well. But what they're saying, the most important thing is when it comes to ranking Reels is the person's activity. So past Reels that the person has liked, interacted with, we've already covered that. No need to go over that again, because the Reels tab is much less about accounts that a person is already following and is much more about exploring and finding new accounts. They also want to see if the person has already interacted with that account, if they have not, if they have interacted with similar content. Again, similarly to the feed, they want to know information about the Reel. So what is the audio? Is it location tagged? What does the caption say? What are in video captions saying? And here it is also important, relatively, the information about the account that the content is posted from, meaning how many followers do they have, do other people interact with their content, how much their interaction there is. So it is very similar to the previous one, just for Reel specifically, the most important thing is the likelihood of it being shared, and then how many people watch it all the way through, which doesn't necessarily mean just create short videos. I do want to emphasize that as well, because Adam did talk about that. I saw multiple places where he was talking about it. Posting a 3-second Reel and having a high watch through rate doesn't necessarily mean that your content is going to be pushed out more. They also look at it in the sense of percentage. So yes, a 3-minute Reel is less likely to be watched through than a 10-second Reel. However, it is also the percentage of time spent on watching that Reel. So this is by no means me saying that you should just post very short 3-5-second Reels. I think also you can see that it used to, for a while, I think it did work for accounts. Now I wouldn't say it works as much, or at least that's my impression. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that as well. But the learnings from it are create high quality content that is engaging, and what they do keep emphasizing is don't post content with watermarks. So if you're creating videos in TikTok, CapCut, whatever, another app, just make sure to download that video without any watermarks, because, well, not in such plain language, but they did basically say, we will not be pushing out content that has watermarks on it. Always use trending audios if you can. If it makes sense for the video, don't push it, but that will get you more reach. And just use captions and in-caption videos and in-video captions to give Instagram a better idea of what the content is, what it is about. Give them as much information as you can through your content so they know how to categorize it better and push it to the right people so your content reaches the right audience. And also something I did want to mention is I think you can try a strategy of appeasing both the feed and the Reels tabs, because you could continue creating content that works for you, that you know people like, they have interacted with, engaged with. You can see that there are shares on it, so that you're feeding it into the feed part of Instagram. But then also, and especially now with the trial reels feature, you could be, again, similar to TikTok, you could be trying out new styles or topics or, I don't know, new features of the app. You could be using all that to try new types of videos, to post on the trial reels, see how people are resonating with that. If it's working, you can always integrate it in your own feed. If it's not working, just leave it be, maybe try another one a different day. So I would say, again, try 2 different avenues of content you know that works for you, and then try new stuff that might work for you, might not. And especially with trial reels, I think that makes it a lot easier, because that content is not going to be shown to your followers. It's just going to be shown specifically to new accounts. And then, relatively big thing Instagram has coming out is edits, that should be coming out in a few weeks now. I know that the first time I heard about it, it was supposed to be coming out in March. What edits is from what it sounds to me, it is basically like an equivalent to what CapCut used to be. And what I think the closest one right now to it would be TikTok Studio, because it will be an app where you can do all the editing. You're going to have access to your saved audios from Instagram, which I think is quite beneficial. But you'll also be able to see all the analytics from your videos, which is why I think it sounds quite a bit like TikTok Studio. But one exciting thing that I've seen that edits might include, and I don't think I fully understand yet how that will be implemented, but if it is true and if it does become a part of edits, I will be very happy to use that app, which is basically a better way of tracking your ideas. So what they're saying is you'll be able to track ideas, jot down ideas for new videos, and add notes to saved reels. So in my mind, that means that I'll be able to save a reel and then write out notes why I saved that reel, which would be so beneficial. Like, I hope they keep it more only I can see it, or maybe if they do it as a feature where like a team could see it as well, I think that would be really, really cool. Like, you could just share it with your team or something, because I save a lot of content on Instagram and TikTok, and I have my folders, like I have my content info folder, and often I will save one video for like one specific thing about it. It's not necessarily the whole idea, the whole content that I like the idea of. It's one specific thing. And then, I mean, I could technically go copy the link, put it into my notes where I generally keep ideas, write out why this video specifically, like what it was about it that I wanted to keep. But if we're being honest, that's a lot more work, and I don't do that very often. And then I'll go through my like content idea folder and I'll look at a piece of content and be like, great. However, why? What was I trying to get out of it? So I'll forget. I mean, sometimes I'll remember, but not all the time. But that way you don't have to watch a piece of content all the way through. You could categorize it. You could use it to like categorize straight in apps. So like when you're searching, maybe if they had a feature of like searching for words or something, like I can see this being a very, very beneficial thing, because the best system I've come up so far is me taking, like copying the link and putting it either in Excel or Notion, and then creating labels, categorizing it, giving it notes and stuff like that. But that takes a lot more time. That is like very time consuming to do it that way. So I feel like this could be a very, very exciting feature to have. Also, I do want to note, they said the edits for now will be free, but down the line they might do paid features, but more so for AI from what I can understand. And I think that's about it when it comes to edits, nothing much more. It'll be an exciting app to see what happens, how it can be used, new features that can be added to it as well. Which, on the topic of content notes, you know how you can put notes on pieces of content and then only your followers can see it. I've never really implemented that, and I don't really know any of my friends that have implemented that, and they have said that they will be taking that away, which I think is the right decision. They put it as they were trying something out, it didn't work, and they understand that they're making Instagram more and more complicated, so they don't want to keep adding without taking out anything that's not working. And I think that's a great approach. I actually genuinely really like that. So I think it's a smart idea. Like, people really weren't using it enough. So I think it's a great idea to take it away. But another thing that I'm personally so excited about is they added 2x speed on Reels. So when I was writing the script, it wasn't yet available on my account, even though they said that it was. So I was like, oh my God, I really hope they do actually implement it. And since, because I wrote the script a few days ago, and since it has become a part of my account, and I'm so excited. I'm now watching those Reels on 2x speed all the time. I love it. I guess my attention span is not that good anymore, but I love watching content on TikTok and now Instagram on 2x speed. So This has been pain point for me for quite a while now, so I'm personally very excited about this. But I did want to dive into an adjacent topic when it comes to that. Again, this is much more personal than necessarily for everyone. But you know how when Instagram rolls out new features, it doesn't show up on everybody's accounts at all times. So I have two different accounts. That one of them gets most of the features very early on, but then there's this one account that is just so behind. Not that I don't have 2x speed. My aspect ratio on the grid, like when you go to my profile, when I go from my other account, I can see it the way everybody else sees it now. But when I personally go on my own profile on that account, it is still the old square aspect ratio and another new like bigger aspect ratio, which I think is very funny. Also, I still don't have trial reels on that account. That account is just so behind, which is honestly a bit frustrating. I understand that they don't want to roll out new features all at once everywhere. That would be very, I think from like more technological side, that would probably be very hard, but it is a bit annoying, so I'm not very happy about that. And then to talk about stuff that have not yet been rolled out on even my most up-to-date accounts that are still not fully up-to-date this is a very exciting one. If you edit in Instagram, which I personally do not, I'll either edit in CapCut or TikTok, but if you do edit in Instagram, and this could be a good incentive to switch over to Instagram, if I'm being honest, is they have this new feature called cut silences. Again, I don't yet have it on my accounts, but what it allows you is if you film a talking video and for example you make a pause like this, they will then automatically, like you press on it, let it process for a bit, and they will automatically cut those silences out, which I can see saving people over time, like a significant amount of time. I think that's an amazing feature. I first saw and heard about it on Riverside, I think it's called. It's a platform for making podcasts, and I think it's a brilliant feature. So knowing that Instagram is bringing it in, I'm also like, TikTok, should we consider bringing it in as well? Because I think this could be a game changer. I like the sound of it so much. And it will also tell you how much time it cut out of your video, which I don't see a practical benefit of that, but it is a very fun thing to know how much got cut out of a video, so that's great. And then last, for a quick round, I watched this video, an interview with Adam on what is going on with Instagram in 2025. So just like a few bullet points. First of all, hashtags don't really matter that much anymore, which I think we all kind of knew for a while now. So just a heads up, no need to really worry about hashtags that much anymore. And also, I think the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is that they're working to improve the search. So it didn't sound like that is something that's going to happen overnight, and it's not like they have a definitive date of when the search is going to get improved. I think they're just putting more resources towards improving the search, which I'm so happy about, because my pet peeve, oh my god, I'm dyslexic. When I go in to write a handle and I don't spell it out fully correct, and then I have no account suggested, I'm just like, it is one letter off. Please find that account, but don't even get me started on the whole, on TikTok and YouTube, you can actually search as if it's a search engine versus on Instagram that is just not a thing. And I think they're going more that route to make Instagram more as a search engine, which I would love, because that would also mean that so much more can be discovered on Instagram the same way it is on TikTok. I mean, if we're being honest, not to be mean, but they are very behind on that. So I think that's a great move, and I think they really should be improving their search, because I think it is, again, not to be mean, but it is quite infuriating. So very happy to hear that. To wrap up this whole episode, to give you all the learnings at the end, quick round. First, make your post reach posts. Treat your posts as if your followers won't automatically see them, and treat it as if it's a chance to reach somebody new you haven't reached before. Back to what I just mentioned, make content search engine optimized, especially now that Instagram is working more towards improving their search as well. It's just like, it's 2025. Our content needs to be search optimized. Put it in the captions, put it in video captions. Yeah, I'm not saying that's anything too new, but it's just like, I think continuously and as platforms evolve, we can see how important that is. Post as much as you can, but define what as much as you can means to you and your business, because there should be consistency. You don't want to fall off and not post just because you set it as too high. I know that we want instant results, but I think in growing your account, a part of it definitely is the long game of posting consistently. Definitely be on platforms when you just post, engage with comments, engage with your followers, post it, show up there, talk to people. Engagement is a big part of social media management, so you're on those platforms because it's a social platform, so talk to people. And also a personal suggestion is create folders when you're saving content. That will save you so much time, regardless if edits comes out with a new notes feature or not. Just save content in folders, and that way it's so much easier for you to find it than it is if you just have a huge all saved list where you have all sorts of different things from places you want to visit, content types you want to see. I don't know. I know I have a bunch of folders, so I would just say folder your content. And that is basically it for me today. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was beneficial for you. If you have any questions, do let me know. I can always delve deeper in a topic that you're more interested about. So that's it for me today. Okay, bye!